What's going on, everyone? Welcome on into Falcons. Today, I want to start by talking about some of the free agency news and rumors out there revolving around Atlanta. So, a lot to cover as free agency unofficially begins 11 a.m. Eastern Time on Monday. That's when legal tampering begins. But if you're Kirk Cousins and your agent, it's already started a long time before then. And then the official new league year begins March 12th, Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern. But some of the free agency buzz out there that I could see trickling down to Atlanta. Joey Bosa was released by the Chargers on, well, we're filming this during our live show on Thursday, and this happened Wednesday night. So, Wednesday night, Bosa cut by LA. This is a name that we've talked about before on the channel, by the way, as one of those cut candidates that will then become a free agent target, but they're not a free agent just yet, which is why you should subscribe so you know these things before they happen. But Bosa was released in a bit of a no-brainer. I mean, the Chargers saved $25 million in cap space. Nine seasons in LA. A lot of them were really good, but unfortunately, a good amount were also plagued by injuries, especially the past 3 seasons. Although he was pretty healthy in 2024, but before that, he missed a ton of time. He's basically missed about 50% of games over the past 3 seasons. So, could the Falcons be in pursuit of the 5-time Pro Bowler? I would not rule it out. He's coming off a 14-game season where he put up 5 sacks and 2 forced fumbles and a handful of tackles for loss as well. But you go back to, and I know it was a while ago, but 2021 played a full season pretty much and 10.5 sacks, 7 forced fumbles, 20 QB hits. Sadly, since then, he suffered some very severe injuries that probably will get in the way of him ever getting back to that pre-injury form. But for the right price, yeah, I mean, if you as an edge rusher just bump titties with a quarterback, I kind of want you in Atlanta because that's how desperate the Falcons are for a pass rusher. They are 32nd in team sacks since 2021. They have constantly been in the cellar of sacks. So sure, Bosa might be old, he might be washed, he might be injury prone, but we're not above Joey Bosa. We're not above anyone. That's how bad the pass rush is. Now, I don't think they should just go out and recklessly sign every single player to monster contracts. That would be a bit inappropriate. But I think that for the right price, Bosa on a 1-year, $8 million contract, who says no? Maybe Bosa, but I would say yes. My money's on Bosa stays in the West Coast and goes to San Francisco and plays with his brother Nick. Now, free agency is going to be here before you know it, and we are trying to get up to 34,000 subscribers. Help me accomplish this goal. I do need your help, so if you have not subscribed yet, please go ahead and do so. And if you are subscribed, this might be a little sentimental, but let me know when you started subscribing to the channel. That way I can get a good idea of, hey, this was a time period where we picked up a lot of subscribers. What can I do to try and recreate that era? Moving on to the next piece of free agency news. Is this one more of a rumor? I think so. Matthew Judon staying in Atlanta. We have not talked about Judon a ton on the channel because I didn't think he'd come back. And I didn't think the Falcons wanted him back, and I didn't think he'd want to come back. But he posted on his Instagram story a picture of him in his Falcons uniform. Some people are looking at this as headline news. I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. I'm very bad at deciphering what athletes' tweets and posts are these days. I'm one of the worst in the biz when it comes to this means that. I'll tell you what. I'll be surprised if Judon comes back. One, why would Atlanta want him back? They gave up a third-round pick for him and kind of stunk, right? He was underwhelming. He picked things up towards the end of the season once Raheem Morris took over the defense after the bye week and helped stop the run to then create more obvious passing situations for his edge rushers to get after the quarterback. So you'll look at the box score of the year and see, 5.5 sacks. That's not so bad. But you and I know it wasn't that great of a year for Judon. So while he did have a really good stretch, and listen, I was an advocate for the Falcons to go out and trade for him because they needed pass rush help, and I don't think I thought it would cost a third-round draft pick, so that was a little bit on the steeper end for a guy coming off a 4-sack, 4-game season in 2023, but at least they tried, so I can't be too mad at Fontenot for that. If he does return, the only path I see is it's an incentive-heavy contract. I'll be pretty disappointed if they re-sign Judon to like a 1-year, $10 million deal, nearly all guaranteed, and it's like, why did you put so much of your cap space that you don't have a ton of into a player who is pretty underwhelming for you? Whereas you give him an incentive-heavy contract, you can save some cap space to use on other players. Now, between Bosa and Judon, if you had to bring one to Atlanta or bring back Judon, which one would it be? I'd go with Bosa over Judon, and I know that the best ability is availability, and Bosa sadly has not had that for a handful of seasons in his 9-year career, but the peaks are much higher with Joey. So I'll roll the dice on him. Third and fourth topic I want to discuss. Nate Landman and Dee Alford were both not tendered. We're going to talk about what that means. It's not a chicken tender. It's a restricted free agent, RFA. Let's start with Landman, though. So the Falcons decided, like with Alford, not to tender him. There are 3 types of free agents. Unrestricted, which is what 90% of free agents are. Restricted free agents, which are about 5% of free agents. And then exclusive rights free agents. We're talking about restricted here. What that means is Atlanta has the first opportunity to place a tender on that player, which is a contract amount. Another team can match it, and if they do match it, Atlanta then can make another offer, or that team can give the Falcons a draft pick for that player. You rarely see teams match a restricted free agent's tender offer. So, in English, he's going to hit free agency as an unrestricted free agent now. He can sign with any team that he would like. It does not mean the Falcons are not going to bring him back. It likely means the Falcons are telling him, go hit the market, see what offers you get. And then depending on what other teams think your value is, if we think that's an appropriate amount, we'll make the same offer and we'd like to have you back. But if you get calls from other teams that say, we want to pay you $7 million, Atlanta might go, well, we don't think you're worth 7. But if someone else does, cheers to them and best of luck. Happy trails moving forward. Landman, though, has been one of the most consistent pieces in a lot of ways on this defense for the last 2 years. He stepped in quite nicely for Troy Anderson in 2023. The guy's got, nearly 200 tackles over the last 2 seasons combined. He had an awesome 2023 campaign, and then we just did not see the same guy in 2024. And I think a big reason was because of the injuries. He suffered a quad injury during preseason, which he played through in week 1, and that put a ton of stress on the quad and on his calf, which required him to hit injured reserve right before that Eagles Monday night game, missed 4 games, and when he came back, him and Anderson, who was battling an injury as well, did not look nearly like 100%. So I am on board with a reunion, though. I don't think he's going to have a crazy market in free agency. Linebackers to begin with just don't get paid a ton anymore, but I think it's worth a 1-year contract to see, can we get that 2023 guy back after maybe some time to recover and let the body get healthy, because that 2023 player definitely would have been tendered. 2024 player, I can understand some of the reservation, but I'm willing to believe that was a result of the injury, not this is truly who he is, and 2023 was the outlier. We're going to talk about Dee Alford next up on the show, but I do want to give a quick shout out to our friends over at PrizePicks. You see, PrizePicks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players. Now, basketball season is heating up, and PrizePicks is the best place to get real money action while watching your favorite sports. You can now win up to 1,000 times your money on PrizePicks. Here's an example of what some selections look like with March Madness just almost here. PrizePicks is an awesome place to be even more engaged in all the fun games. So download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. All of that information is in the comments and description of today's video. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. Run your game. So, our former CFL star for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, Dee Alford, is in the same boat as Landman. He was a restricted free agent who Atlanta has decided not to place a tender on, which means he will become an unrestricted free agent. I thought Alford, like Landman, was really strong in 2023, and then 2024 came here, and it was as if someone else put his pads on. It was a different player, I think, for a few reasons. One, I think he was not picked on. He played more in 2024 than he did in 2023. And as a result of that, that meant more targets his way, which resulted in more receptions, thus more yards, and a lot more touchdowns. But there's no changing it here. He was worse in 2024 than 2023. I don't think we have to argue about that, right? We're all on the same page here. Alford looked like, hey, that's a really solid find from the CFL's a nickel corner. And then 2024, he took a big step back. So the nickel position, I think, is criminally underrated in the NFL because with the evolution of the modern NFL offense, you're seeing way more 3 wide receiver sets than ever before, which means you need 3 quality starting corners. Plus, not just for the 3 receivers on the field, but you're seeing tight ends every single year continue to have a big role in teams' offenses, and those guys just slip into the flat, and you know whose responsibility it is? The nickel. You got a 185 corner trying to tackle a 230-pound tight end. You better have a pretty good nickel corner that can take down someone not twice his size, but a lot larger than him. So there is a lot of value in having a strong nickel corner. I think it's an underrated position group, and I think you're going to see more teams target it earlier in the draft. But there's no sugarcoating it. Alford was bad this past season. So if the Falcons let him walk, that's not one I'm going to, be distraught over. I would prefer to have Nate Landman re-sign if I had to pick between one of the two. I just think his highs in 2023 were higher than Alford's highs, and I think it's a fair reason to point to the injuries in 2024 for the regression, whereas D, I don't really have a good reason for that. So if I had to pick one to re-sign, I would go with Nate Landman, but I do want to get your opinion on it down below in the comment section. Let me know who you think Atlanta should bring back if you had to pick one. That will do it for us on today's episode. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe down below if you have not already. That way we can keep you guys in the know all season and free agency and draft along on everything related to your favorite team.